Hello, I'm Nathan P. Butler, author of a Saga on Home Video and host from the Star Wars Home Video Library here on YouTube, and this is Star Wars Home Video Year by Year. This time we take a look at 2007, and this has gotta be a big year, right? 2005 was huge, 2006 was pretty big, we've had a lot of big years recently. This year marks the 30th anniversary of A New Hope hitting theaters just as Star Wars back in the day. It's usually treated as the 30th anniversary of Star Wars as a franchise, though of course we know the novelization of A New Hope hit in 1976 and is typically forgotten in that regard. But this is the 30th anniversary as it is being celebrated, right? 30 years since 1977 here, and you would think that Star Wars Home Video would do some kind of cool thing to celebrate it in the US and elsewhere. And you would be wrong. Star Wars Home Video is a product genre for Star Wars that almost never does anything decent for any anniversaries. Didn't really do much in 1987, except they just put the little 10th anniversary, stickers on some of the packaging. 97 is the oddball because of the special editions. Of course, there was something for that, but it was because of the special editions themselves being there for the anniversary. 2007? Nope, not really. In fact, there's very little for us to look at here from the US at all. We do have a few foreign items to look at fairly quickly. We'll find that 2017, kind of the same thing. One would hope that 2027, which as of the time I'm recording this is still a couple of years away, would be a year to do something because it's the 50th anniversary. But who knows where we'll even be when it comes to physical media by 2027. For context here, as mentioned, this was the 30th anniversary of Star Wars in theaters. It's also the year of Celebration 4 and of Celebration Europe. And this is the year that we see another major Legends continuity death in the novel Sacrifice. In any event though, let's take a look at what did get released in 2007, though it certainly wasn't much. You'll probably recall that in 2006 we saw the original trilogy get re-released. It was a 2004 DVD disc being released for a third time in packages that included a bonus disc. The bonus disc was purportedly the original theatrical version of the films. We know they are the 1993 THX Remastered Edition versions, as we often call them, but actually created for the Definitive Collection Laserdisc set for 93, with a spliced off opening of A New Hope replaced by a nice film copy of A New Hope without the subtitle on it. But at least it was a pre-special edition version for those who'd be looking for that. Letterbox, unfortunately, 4x3 letterbox, not anamorphic widescreen, but at least it was there. Now, in the US, you could get a box set if you got it at Best Buy. We saw a 10 also. It's a 10 at Best Buy, a 10 in the UK as well. My understanding is that Australia got one too in 2006. But in 2007, Australia got a 10 with the exact same stuff inside. It's just the 2006 releases. And again, only widescreen outside the United States or outside North America, so no need for it to be widescreen, full screen or anything. It's just the widescreen version of it here. But it all says 30th anniversary running along the top. So essentially a 10 like what we saw out of the UK that only opens from the front, but for Australia, for the 30th anniversary. We will find that Mexico had a 30th anniversary item as well in a tin that apparently didn't see release until 2008. Speaking of weird mixed up years, I would also note that there is a TV special called Star Wars Tech that we are going to see, but we're going to see it next time. It gets released right around the change of 2007 to 2008, and it aired in 2007. The copyright on the disc and the packaging is 2007. But StarWars.com announced when it was finally released through StarWarsShop.com as it was premiering, and that was in January of 2008. So if you're looking for Star Wars tech, don't worry, we will cover it, but not until next time. Speaking of interesting tin sets coming out of foreign markets, the UK got an interesting one in 2007. They got this. Notice it is a tin designed to look like the 2004 DVD set. What's inside? We've seen the 2-disc releases in the UK already as of last year. Is that what's in here? What's going on? Well, no. What's in here is actually the 2004 DVD set. For whatever reason, they took what had existed 3 years prior that had been superseded in the previous year and just packaged it up again in what is arguably a really nice little tin. Easily dinged a little bit. Mine's got a little bit of corrosion because of some dings here. But, a nice tin. Might have made more sense in 2004, but nice enough. Speaking of oddball foreign items, before we hit the 2 items to look at here from the US, you might stop and think, as a Star Wars collector sometimes, what exactly do I want to put in my Star Wars home video library? Is it just purely Star Wars stuff? Is it just official? Fan-made stuff, perhaps? Documentaries from third parties, would those count? What about parodies, perhaps? What about related properties? Something like Willow. Willow, of course, being a special case because there was actually an April Fool's joke at one point on StarWars.com where they put up databank entries that were essentially, what if Willow was actually taking place in the Star Wars galaxy? Well, it turns out that that Lucas connection with Willow was not just something for fun in the background or for collectors to say, hey, maybe I'll collect 2 different product lines. In some regions, the product lines merged. Because in 2007, in Spain, you could get this. This is the Ewok telemovies, right? The same release we saw back in 2004 for the US, for example, and Willow. So yeah, this here, the discs inside, right? Just Willow and the Ewok telemovies. Ewoks being on a regular dual-layer disc with a label, not a crappy flipper disc like in the US. This is essentially this release and its equivalents, right, from 2004, the 2 Ewok telemovies, in this case on that dual-layer disc, mixed with this, the 2001 special edition DVD release, the US version in this case, of Willow. Both in the same package here in 2007. This was a weird, oddball little item, but I love the fact that at least there was something officially bringing these 2 franchises together, if only to sell more discs. Jumping back to the United States, we see the beginning of a new series of promotional DVDs this year. In 2007, there was a book published called You Can Draw Star Wars. And for what it's worth, no, I cannot. Looking at any of the awesome guides in here, even the little trace type things that show you different layers. No, I absolutely cannot draw Star Wars. But this book was heavily promoted by one of the artists behind it, Matt Bush, and he did a video series online about the You Can Draw Star Wars book and just the concept of drawing Star Wars in general. So it was sort of promotional for the book, but at the same time, a series that was ongoing. It went on for a while, and eventually, we would see that entire series collected on 3 DVD volumes. In actual DVD resolution rather than the crappy online streaming resolution of 2007. So the first of these hits in 2007. You Can Draw Star Wars. There's no volume number because I guess they didn't expect there would necessarily be a second, but certainly there'd be a second and a third. Cool little folding jacket. And the first disc in that series, You Can Draw Star Wars, hosted by Matt Bush. These are pretty difficult to find these days, though sometimes if you order from his website, you can still get your hands on these as a bonus item. He doesn't sell them, but you can put them in your cart basically as like a freebie to go along with whatever you're actually buying of one of his books or otherwise while he still has them in stock. So that's the first one. We will see the other ones in subsequent years. And finally, we see the end of a product line this year, or perhaps maybe the end of a phase of a product line. We've seen 3 bonus lightsaber action DVDs so far. Those are DVDs with episodes of the Clone Wars microseries and other stuff on them that have been packaged in with lightsaber toys. After 2007, we will still see some DVDs, in that case mini DVDs, packed in with future Star Wars lightsaber toys. But the last of the full-sized DVDs and the last of the bonus lightsaber action DVDs, the 4th one, hits here in 2004, this time as an exclusive to Walmart. I can't speak to any of the other ones being exclusive to anywhere. I've never found concrete information about that. But this one specifically is marked as only at Walmart. And unlike last time, it is one package. This is not an add-on plastic piece slapped on with some tape. It's actually an extended box to fit it all. So here's the Darth Vader version of the lightsaber, and then inside, we'll take a look at the DVD. Fortunately, if you're not going to open it, these are really easy to get out. You just pop open the end and slide that out, as opposed to last time where it was a freaking mess to try to get it out. You didn't have to see me struggle on camera. So this is that version. A bit more busy than the last one. The last one's probably the cleanest looking one. Bonus lightsaber action DVD. Window through which to see the disc. The disc itself looks like this. Again, this is the last and the only one that looks different on its label. So remember, the first 2 Those were basically identical discs, label and content, just in different years inside different lightsaber toys. The third one has the same label as the previous two, but different packaging and slightly different content. This one, the fourth one, the last one, has different label and different content. What is that very different content? Well, the previous ones had chapters 1 and 8 of the Clone Wars micro-series. This has the last 2 chapters from season 3, or volume 2, depending on how you're looking at it. It is chapters 24 and 25, and it has a nice sneak preview of the video game, The Force Unleashed. So yes, the 30th anniversary of Star Wars hitting theaters goes by, and for Star Wars Home Video, it is not a roar. I dare say it might actually be a whimper, or maybe just a little bit above a whimper. Either way, not a banner year for Star Wars Home Video. Some cool stuff, don't get me wrong, but certainly not the kind of pizzazz you would expect from an anniversary year. Not even box sets of the trilogies or something. That still hasn't happened for the prequels. We will see those soon though, so join us next time as we check out 2008.